Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be, we're going deep on Agri-Tech gadgets.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, all those, super cool tools that are like revolutionizing farming, right?
Yeah.
So you've got this awesome data-driven guide to the top 10 gadgets that you absolutely need to know about
Okay.
if you are, even remotely interested in the future of farming. So
Love it.
it's like a cheat sheet for, next level farming.
The thing is with these gadgets, they're not just about, making things a little bit better. They're really about like big leaps forward, right? Like how much can we grow? How well can we, use our resources?
Right.
Even, how are the animals doing? It's really about taking things to the next level.
Okay, yeah, let's break this down. So first up, and this might seem kind of basic, but soil sensors. I've heard these called like a fitness tracker for your soil, which is such a great analogy, right? But what are they actually, tracking? How does that help us farm better?
So they're constantly watching, right? What's the moisture level? The temperature? How's the pH? Are there enough nutrients? And the cool part is connecting all this data, right, to how you water. Like imagine a farm. They're struggling with water. They use these sensors and boom, 20% more crops, but using like 35% less water.
Nice. That's a win-win, right?
It's incredible. It's like giving the plants exactly what they need when they need it.
Right. And it's not just water. You know exactly how much fertilizer to use, so you're saving money, but also you're not polluting and your crops are healthier.
So it's like instead of just doing the same thing everywhere, you're getting really specific using data.
Yeah, it's like personalized farming, right? Each bit of soil, each plant gets exactly what it needs.
I love that. Okay, we've talked about what's happening underground, but what about getting that like bird's eye view, drones, right? I mean, I got to admit, the thought of flying over my fields with a drone sounds pretty awesome. Yeah. It is, but it's more than just cool. Think about those cameras, right?
Yeah.
They can see way more than we can. They can see like how much chlorophyll is in the plants. They can see signs of disease before we'd ever notice.
Whoa, so you're telling me we can spot a problem before it even shows up? Like how much earlier are we talking?
It's really an early warning system. There was this research at the University of Nebraska. They said drones can find diseases, pests, all that stuff, like 30% earlier than just walking around and looking.
That's a huge advantage.
Yeah, and early means you can, use less pesticides, maybe even none.
And wouldn't you use less fertilizer too, since you can like pinpoint?
Oh, absolutely. The drones tell you exactly where to put everything, so no more wasting anything. It's good for your wallet and good for the planet.
So less input, healthier crops. It all just seems more sustainable.
That's the goal. And this is just the beginning with drones. There's so much more they can do.
Okay, we've got the ground covered with sensors, the sky with drones, but what about like the lifeblood of farming?
Water, right. Automated irrigation, is that the next step? I mean, it sounds amazing, just set it and forget it, but is it really worth it? Like, isn't that super expensive to set up? It can be, yeah. Up front, it seems like a lot, but you got to think long term. The FAO, they said like 60% of irrigation water is just wasted globally. Yeah. Automated systems cut that way down, saving money and water. It's not just a little bit either. NASA, they did some research, and it's like 30 to 50% less water every year.
Wow, that's not just convenient. That's like solving a global crisis, right?
It is, and it's not just about saving water. These systems make your crops grow better and stronger because they're getting the perfect amount of water right when they need it based on the sensors, the weather, everything.
So it's like a personal watering schedule for every plant.
Exactly. It's all about precision, making sure every drop counts.
Okay, so we've got sensors, drones, and automated irrigation all working together to make these super-powered crops. But what about the workhorses of the farm, the tractors? What about these GPS-enabled tractors I keep hearing about? Like, what do they actually do? It sounds kind of sci-fi,
It does. It's like something out of a movie, but it's real. These tractors, they've got GPS receivers so they can follow these paths, and they're incredibly accurate. We're not. Just talking basic GPS here. Some of these systems use something called RTK, which is like centimeter level precision.
Centimeters? Seriously, what can you even do with that kind of accuracy?
Everything. Planting, spraying, fertilizing, it's all changed. Think about planting seeds. The old way, you get overlaps, you miss spots. It's just not efficient.
Yeah.
But with RTK, every seed is exactly where it needs to be, so you get the most out of every single one.
So less waste, more crops, which means more money for the farmer.
Exactly. And it's the same with fertilizer and pesticides. So you put them exactly where they need to be, so no more overspraying, which is good for the environment and the bottom line.
So it's like We're doing more with less, being super efficient, and helping the planet at the same time.
That's the idea, yeah. And with GPS, we're just scratching the surface. It's going to get even crazier in the future.
I can't wait. Okay, we've covered the crops, but what about the animals? Are there any agri-tech gadgets out there for, improving their lives and making things easier for the farmers who raise them?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Livestock monitoring systems are like the next big thing. You've got these collars, ear tags, all loaded with sensors, and they track everything. Where the animal is, what they're doing, how much they're eating, even things like body temperature and heart rate.
It's like a Fitbit for cows. That's amazing. But does it actually help?
Yeah.
Does all this data actually make a difference for the animals in the farm?
It's about being proactive, not reactive.
Yeah.
So you see a cow's activity level change, or they're not eating as much, maybe they're getting sick. You catch it early, before it becomes a big problem, and that's good for the cow and saves money on vet bills.
So it's like early detection and prevention, basically.
Exactly. And it's more than just health. You can see how they're grazing, so you can make sure they're getting the best food, and you can even tell when they're ready to breed.
So you can make better decisions about their care, their food, everything, just by using data.
Exactly. It's a whole new way to think about livestock.
Wow, this is incredible. I'm seeing how all this tech isn't just about efficiency. It's about taking better care of the animals and the environment. This is pretty mind-blowing.
It is, and it leads us to, another super exciting area, autonomous harvesters.
Okay, now this is where things get really futuristic. Self-driving harvesters. Are we talking about like real machines out in the fields, or is this still, in the lab?
They're out there. It's still early days, but they're working, especially for things like fruits and vegetables. They've got all these sensors and AI, and they can drive around, find the ripe stuff, and pick it all without a human driver.
Whoa, this is next level. How do they even work? Can you walk me through it?
Sure. Imagine a strawberry field, right? The harvester maps out the whole field then.
Yeah.
Its cameras are looking for ripe strawberries, the right color, size, shape, everything. Then its robotic arm picks the strawberries super carefully without damaging anything and puts it in a container.
That's amazing. And is it as efficient as, a human picker? What are the benefits?
Well, it can work 2 to 47, no breaks, so that's one big thing. It also picks very accurately, so less waste and less damage to the plants. And of course, there's a labor shortage. A lot of places are struggling to find workers, so these machines could be a solution.
So more productivity, less waste, and a solution to the labor problem. But what about the cost? Can the average farmer afford this kind of tech?
It's a big investment for sure, but think of the savings. You're not paying as much for labor, and you're getting more out of your crops because of the efficiency and reduced waste. It could pay off big time in the long run.
Yeah, I can see how that would be tempting, especially for larger farms. But are there any downsides to using these machines? What are the potential concerns?
Well, one of the big ones is jobs, right? If these machines take over, what happens to the people who were doing those jobs? It's a tough issue, and it's something we need to think about carefully as this technology gets better.
It's a valid concern, for sure. It's got to be about progress for everyone, not just,
Right.
replacing people with robots.
There are also concerns about data, right? These machines are collecting tons of information about the farm, so we need to make sure that data is protected.
That makes sense. So it's exciting, but we need to be careful about how we use it.
Absolutely. And remember, this is just one piece of the agri-tech puzzle. There's so much more to explore, and we'll dive into more of it after the break.
Okay, I can't wait. But before we do, let's just take a moment to think about what we've learned so far. Technology is changing agriculture in a big way, helping farmers be more efficient, more productive, and more sustainable.
Yeah.
But we also have to be smart about it, right? Think about the benefits, but also the potential downsides.
It's all about finding that balance, using technology to create a better food system.
You got it. Okay, folks, we're going to take a quick break, but stick around because when we come back, we've got even more amazing agri-tech gadgets to explore.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
All right, see you in a few.
See ya. Welcome back, everyone. So we've been talking about all these cool gadgets, right? But what I really love is seeing how they're actually being used, on real farms.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I love getting into the nitty-gritty of how it actually works. So have you seen any really cool examples of these technologies, out there in the field?
Oh, tons. The one that comes to mind is this vineyard in California they're using, the whole package, soil sensors, drones, automated irrigation, they've got it all.
Okay, I'm picturing this vineyard. Are we talking like sensors every few feet? How do they even manage all that?
It's not quite that crazy. They've got like a network of sensors
Yeah.
spread out strategically, so they know the moisture levels in different spots,
Yep.
and then that data goes right to the irrigation system, so each vine gets exactly what it needs.
So it's not just like watering the whole field the same way, it's super targeted.
Exactly. And to make it even better, they're using drones with those multispectral cameras
Yeah.
to check on the vines from above.
Okay, we talked about those cameras earlier, but I gotta be honest, I still don't fully get what they're seeing that we can't. What's the big deal?
Well, they can see like beyond the normal light spectrum, right? So
Yeah.
they can tell if a plant is stressed, maybe it needs more water or nutrients, even before we'd see any signs. It's like they can see what's happening inside the plant.
Whoa, that's wild. So it's not just pretty pictures, it's actual data that tells you how healthy the vines are.
Right. And they combine that with the soil sensor data, so they have this like complete picture of what's going on, and they know exactly what to do.
It's like they've got a superpower for seeing the vineyard.
Totally.
Ah.
And the results speak for themselves. They're saving tons of water, using less fertilizer, and the grapes are better than ever.
Okay, I'm convinced. That's amazing. Give me another one. What else is out there that's blowing your mind?
All right, how about this? There's this dairy farm in the Netherlands. They're using livestock monitoring to, keep the cows happy and make more milk. They put these collars on the cows with all these sensors, and they can track everything, like how much they're moving, what they're eating, even how much time they spend chewing.
So it's like a 24/7 checkup for each cow.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that means they can spot problems early on, like maybe a cow's digestion
Yeah.
is off, or they're starting to have trouble walking, and they can treat it before it gets serious.
So it's all about catching those little signs early before they turn into big problems.
Right. And they can use the data to like fine-tune their feeding schedule, make sure every cow is getting the perfect diet. They can even tell when a cow is ready to breed.
So it's personalized care for cows.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not just dairy farms. Pig farms, chicken farms, even fish farms are using this kind of technology.
Okay, I'm starting to see a theme here. Whether it's grapes or cows, it seems like. Agri-Tech is all about giving farmers more information so they can make better decisions and run their farms more efficiently.
Absolutely. And that's why so many farmers are adopting these technologies. They see the benefits for their bottom line and for the planet.
Right, it's a win-win for everyone. But let's be real, not every farmer can just, drop a ton of money on all this high-tech stuff. How do we make it more accessible, especially for smaller farms or those in, developing countries?
That's a huge question. Access is so important. One thing is, sharing, like think of ride sharing, but for farm equipment, farmers can share expensive stuff like drums or harvesters, so they don't each have to buy one.
Oh, that's a great idea, like renting it out when you need it.
Yeah, exactly. It can really build community too, farmers helping each other out. Another thing is, developing tech that's low cost and open source,
Yeah.
so anyone can use it and adapt it to their needs.
I love the open source idea. That's awesome. It makes it so much more accessible and customizable.
Exactly. And then there are government programs, grants, subsidies, training to help farmers learn how to use all this new stuff.
So there's a lot of work being done to make sure everyone can benefit from this tech.
Yeah, it's all about making sure everyone has a chance.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the good stuff, the benefits, but let's be honest for a second. It can't all be perfect, right? What are some of the challenges, the potential downsides of all this tech?
Well, one big one is, the digital divide. Not everyone has access to the internet or the skills to use these technologies. So we need to make sure no one gets left behind.
Yeah, that's a big one. We need to make sure everyone has the tools and a knowledge to participate.
Right. We need to invest in rural broadband, provide training, make the tech easier to use, things like that.
Okay, so beyond the digital divide, what else what else should we be thinking about?
Jobs. For one, if farms become more automated, some people might lose their jobs. That's a really tough issue, and we need to find solutions, create new opportunities, things like that.
It's a tricky balance, right? More efficiency, but also making sure people aren't left behind.
Exactly. We can't forget about the people.
So it's not just about the tech itself, it's about how we use it, how it affects people, communities, the whole picture.
Yeah, it's about using tech to build a better future for everyone.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here, from the specific gadgets to the bigger challenges. But before we wrap up this section, I want to talk about something I find really fascinating: vertical farming. Have you looked into this much?
It's such a cool idea. It's like taking farming and turning it on its side.
Yeah. growing crops indoors in these like stacked layers. It sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, but it's real.
Imagine a greenhouse, but
Mm.
instead of spreading out, it goes up like a skyscraper.
A skyscraper for plants, that's a great visual, but why? What's the advantage of doing it that way?
Well, space, for one. In cities where land is expensive, you can grow a ton of food in a small space. Plus, it's really efficient with water and resources. They use these systems, hydroponics, aeroponics, where the plants don't even need soil, just nutrient-rich water, no pesticides, no herbicides.
So it's super efficient, but what about the energy? All those lights, climate control, doesn't that use a lot of power?
It can, but a lot of vertical farms are in cities where they can connect to the grid. And some are even using renewable energy, like solar panels. Plus, LED lights are getting better all the time, so they need less energy.
So it's about minimizing the impact, making it as green as possible.
Exactly. And there are other benefits too. You can grow food year-round, no matter the weather. You can grow it close to where people live, so less transportation, less waste. And because you have so much control, you can get higher yields and better quality.
It sounds like vertical farming could be a big part of the future of food, especially in cities. But are there any downsides? Like, are there things holding it back?
Well, it can be expensive to set up all that tech and equipment. And even though the energy use is getting better, it's still something to think about.
So it's promising, but there's still work to do.
Yeah, but there's a lot of innovation happening, new technologies, new approaches. It's really exciting to see where it goes.
Okay, this is amazing. We're talking about like reimagining how we grow food.
Yeah.
This is huge. But let's not forget about another really cool area, precision fermentation.
Oh yeah, precision fermentation. That's like next level stuff.
Okay, tell me more. What is it? Why are people so excited about it?
So basically, you're using these tiny organisms like yeast or bacteria to make things that we usually get from animals, like proteins, fats, even flavors. It's like brewing, but instead of beer, you're making food ingredients.
Wait, hold on. We can brew proteins and fats? That's wild.
I know, right? So you have these big tanks filled with nutrients, and you add these special microbes that have been like engineered to make a specific thing, like a milk protein or a certain kind of fat. They eat the nutrients and they make the stuff we want as a byproduct.
So no cows, no chickens, just microbes making delicious food in a lab. What are the benefits of doing it this way?
Well, one big one is sustainability. Raising animals takes a lot of resources, land, water, and it produces a lot of greenhouse gases. With precision fermentation, we can make the same stuff, but with a much smaller footprint.
So we can have our burgers and eat them too without feeling bad about the planet.
Exactly. And it's not just about copying what animals make. We can design totally new ingredients, stuff we've never had before.
Okay, now my mind is officially blown. This is like the future of food right here.
It is. And companies are already working on it, making animal-free milk, cheese, plant-based eggs, even lab-grown meat.
Lab-grown meat? Is that what they're calling it now?
Yeah, or cultivated meat. It's basically meat grown from cells without the animal.
This is incredible. It feels like we're on the edge of a whole new era of food.
I agree. It's like biology, technology, and cooking all coming together.
Yeah, this is wild. Okay, we got to talk about one more thing before we move on. Blockchain. What's the deal with blockchain and food?
Oh, blockchain is so cool. It's not just for Bitcoin anymore. It's changing everything, including food.
Okay, I'm listening. How does it work? What's the big deal?
Well, one of the coolest things is transparency. With blockchain, you can track every step of the food supply chain, from the farm to your plate.
So it's like a digital trail showing you exactly where your food came from.
Yeah, and that's great for consumers because they know what they're buying. They can see how it was grown, if it's organic, all that stuff.
So more informed choices, more power for the consumer.
Exactly. And for farmers, it's a way to prove that they're doing things right. They can show that they're sustainable, ethical, and that can mean higher prices.
So it's a win-win. But how does it work in the real world?
Okay, so imagine a coffee farmer. They want to sell their beans directly to you. They could use blockchain to create a record of everything, how they grow the coffee, their certifications, the shipping, everything. And then you, as a consumer, can scan a code on the bag and see all that information.
Whoa, so I can see the journey of my coffee beans from the farm to my cup. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's all about transparency and trust.
Okay, so blockchain could be a game changer for the food system.
It really could. And it can do even more, like track livestock health records,
Yep.
manage land ownership, even help small farmers get loans.
This is all so incredible. Technology is changing everything about how we grow, produce, and consume food.
I know, it's really amazing to see.
We've covered so much ground here, from drones to microbes to blockchain. The future of agriculture is looking pretty wild.
It is. It's a really exciting time to be involved in this.
Absolutely. It's clear that, the future of farming is all about innovation and
Yeah.
finding new ways to feed the world.
And doing it sustainably, right?
Exactly. Okay, folks, we're going to take another quick break, but stick around because when we come back, we'll wrap up this deep dive and talk about what it all means for the future of food. All right, so we've talked about all these amazing agri-tech tools, right? Drones, sensors, microbes, even blockchain. It's like the future is already here, but I'm also thinking about, that farmer out there, maybe they're listening to this and thinking, okay, this is all really cool, but what does it actually mean for me?
That's the million-dollar question,
Yeah.
right? And the answer is, it's not about replacing farmers, it's about giving them superpowers. These tools, they're all about helping farmers work smarter, not harder, making better decisions, getting more out of their land, making a good living while taking care of the planet.
So it's not about just buying the coolest new gadget. It's about finding the right tool for the job.
Exactly. A small organic farm, they might focus on soil sensors and really targeted irrigation, right? A big grain operation, maybe they invest in those GPS tractors and super precise sprayers. It's all about figuring out what your farm needs and then finding the tech that fits.
And it's important to remember that technology, it's just one piece of the puzzle. It's not going to magically solve every problem in agriculture.
Oh, absolutely. You can't just replace human knowledge and experience with algorithms and sensors. The best farmers, they're going to be the ones who can combine the data with their own intuition, their understanding of the land. It's like a partnership between tech and tradition.
I like that, a partnership. So where does a farmer even begin? Like there's so much out there, it can be overwhelming. What would you say to someone who's, just starting to dip their toes into the agri-tech world?
I'd say start by figuring out what your biggest headache is, right? What's keeping you up at night? Is it water? Yields?
Yeah.
Not enough workers. Once you know what you're trying to solve, then you can start looking at the tech that can help. And there's tons of information out there online from other farmers, from, agricultural experts.
Well, do your homework, talk to people, learn from what others are doing.
Exactly. Sharing knowledge, that's key. And it's not just farmers talking to each other, right? It's got to be a whole community.
Yeah.
Farmers, scientists, tech people, policymakers, everyone working together to figure out the best way forward.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's not just about building cool gadgets. It's about making sure those gadgets actually help, that they're affordable, that everyone can use them.
Right on. It's about the whole system, how we develop the tech, how we teach people to use it, how we make sure everyone benefits. It's a big challenge, but also a huge opportunity.
Okay, so we've talked about the nuts and bolts, the challenges, the possibilities, but I'm curious, from your perspective, what gets you really excited about the future of agri-tech? Like, what's the big dream?
The big dream. For me, it's about creating a food system that works for everyone and for the planet. Imagine a world where we're growing tons of healthy food, but we're also taking care of the environment. Farms that are productive, but also full of life, healthy soil, clean water, all that good stuff. That's what I see happening, and I think agri-tech's going to be a big part of making it a reality.
That's a beautiful vision. And it's not just a fantasy, right? We're already seeing farmers doing amazing things with this technology all over the world.
Absolutely. And it's not just up to farmers, it's up to all of us. As consumers, we can choose to support sustainable agriculture, buy from farms that are using this tech the right way. We can vote for policies that help farmers transition to a better system. We all have a role to play.
It's a team effort, for sure. And with all this amazing technology coming online, I'm feeling pretty hopeful about what the future holds.
Me too. It's a really exciting time to be in this field, and I'm so glad we got to have this conversation today.
Likewise. This has been an incredible deep dive, and I hope everyone listening has learned as much as I have. So until next time, keep those questions coming, keep exploring, and let's keep working together to build a better food future.